We're live. We're live. Hey, hello, friends, and welcome to another edition or another episode, second episode actually, of the Kiro Bi-Weekly Show here on Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Exactly. Yes. Hi, friends. My name is Darko, and today I'm joined by the most amazing Claire, and we're going to be talking today to you about a lot more when it comes to the future of software development, namely spec-driven development. Before we get into that, Claire, hi. Tell them, who are you? What do you do? What's the first project you built with Curo?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Okay, so who am I? In AWS Agentic AI, I focus on all things software developers and agents. So I focus on Curo, QDeveloper, and our recent
Do you even remember?
Yes. So naming is a very hard problem in computer science, one of the hardest, right? And early on, we were trying to name strands agents. And we had an internal code name for it. But I don't know if you know this, but every word is taken.
Yes, it is.
There's a project out there, especially in the AI space. Yeah. There's a project taken. There's a GitHub org for it. There's a website for it. So we were brainstorming all of these ideas, and then they would very quickly hit the trash can because they're already taken. And so I wanted to speed up this process. So I built this agent that would help us with naming. So it was connected to a bunch of MCP servers to go and search, is there an existing project out there with this name? And it was really just for myself because, so it was command line and markdown files and stuff. And as it turns out, the, marketing people don't necessarily want a command line tool written in Python. So I started using Curo to create a UI for it, so it could kind of step you through the project. So that was neat.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, love it. I remember that story. I think you even wrote a blog when we launched Strands about it, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll link in the chat. I see a couple of people saying that streaming. Okay, yeah, streaming is running fine. I had to double check right now. Somebody says it's blank. It's not. I see myself. I see Claire on the stream. I even loaded my own Twitch thing here. So if you're not seeing us, I don't know how you can hear us then, but reload your browser, I guess. And I agree, naming is super hard. And one of the first things when I build a pet project is like I go to GitHub and like search it, like, is there a repo by that name?
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate that I speak multiple languages, so I usually name my pet projects with something that's in my native language. Sounds
genius.
Something similar to what I wanted to do. And it's usually difficult for people to pronounce, which is kind of a bad thing.
Right.
But at least it's available.
Yeah.
So amazing. Well, so I guess I wanted you to be on the stream like when we launched Curo, but a bunch of moves happened. So I have you here now. You're going to talk to us about the future of software development and namely spec-driven development, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we want to talk about today?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me what is this thing that you see now changing with when we're moving away from I keep using this traditional vibe coding to like the modern, more forward-looking spec-driven development.
Yeah. So I like to think about it in two different ways. Yep. I'll tell you about something that really inspired Curo from the very beginning. So somewhere around, I want to say last spring, like maybe April or May, there was this blog post that came out by this guy, Lawrence Tratt.
Okay.
He's a researcher at King's College London, I think, and he does software engineering research generally. Right. But he wrote this amazing blog post about about the nature of software development.
Okay.
And one of the things he said there was, you nearly always have to fully build the software to understand what you actually want.
Okay, that is fair.
So he calls this the circular specification problem.
Okay.
Where you have to, and we've seen this with going from waterfall to agile, right? You always have to build it and then put it in front of people and get their hands on it and actually see it before you realize, oh, this is not quite the right thing.
Right.
And I think a lot of times in software development and product development, sometimes we're a little too far along the road once we fully build it. I mean, it takes us months to build software before it's actually usable by people, right? And at that point, if you're not quite very agile, there's a push to launch that, right? We end up with these products that we don't really love. So that was really, for me, this spark of an idea about what does specification mean in the AI world? If we have circular specification as kind of the nature of software engineering, how can we get through that circle faster?
Okay.
And so that really led to how can we actually specify the product and have the AI build all of the code? Can we actually have the specification be the main thing that you work on and with even others like product managers and UX designers and even your customers, and actually build something within a day that they can actually put their hands on and go back and edit the specification and start that cycle really, really quickly. I think of spec-driven development as almost enabling prototype-driven development, right? It's really, really easy to get to that prototype, but it was always kind of easy to get to a prototype with vibe coding. Then you're kind of stuck at the prototype. And so the great thing about specification is, one, you can go back to it because you have this fully baked intent that you started with, and you can go and edit and regenerate your code. But it also helps you to get it ready for production. You can start to add requirements about, what do I need to deploy this? How do I monitor this, et cetera? How do I test this? So that was really the very kernel idea. One little quote. I'm gonna put it on a poster in my office. Because it just really resonated with me. Right.
Well, so here's the thing. Like I've chatted to a few people, and it feels like we're kind of going back in a little circle when it comes to software development. Because over the last, I don't know how many years, chat, like 20 years, we were developing stuff your development was always at the edge of the project. So like you're always at the forefront of the project. Like the next line of code you're adding is the next thing that you thought of, right? Like that's what's happening right now. The design documents existed and all those things, but usually like it was, you know what, I'm just gonna keep on building. Especially like with vibe coding, even worse. Like you just literally were you didn't even think about a thing and the code was already there. Well, in the past, you had to have this like incredibly, like at home, I have a bunch of notebooks, like big, those green and white printer paper.
Yes,
So people would write Fortran on it.
Yes.
They would have to debug it on the piece of paper. And then send it over to the punch card department to actually make the punch cards. So a lot more thought had to be put into this before the actual code was created. So I think going back, not to Fortran, shout out to Fortran, but going back to a little bit more, not even tedious, but a little bit more, structured. Exactly. Helps out a lot. And I love it because spectrum development actually brings back a lot of the control I need to feel. I don't know if I have a control, but I still feel I have control. So that means a whole lot to me. So, so how do people, because, do we just dive into spec-driven development? Do I just tell it, build me a clone of Amazon.com? Or like, how is that being approached?
So I think it starts with kind of a vibe around the idea, because when you start out with an idea like build me an Amazon clone, build me a YouTube clone, that's pretty ambiguous, right? So one of the things that I like about going from that super simple prompt that could mean a ton of things, right? There's kind of this like massive tree of possibilities of what you mean by that. And the spec is going to give you one interpretation of what you mean by that. And then you can start to kind of iterate on, oh no, actually, that's interesting that you went there, model, but actually this is what I meant over here. And then go all the way to actually playing with the finished software and seeing, oh, this is not what I wanted at all. I need to add a little bit more detail to my intent. I almost feel like the other way that I like to think about it, instead of sort of this prototype-driven development or circular specification problem, is how we saw the evolution of infrastructure as code.
Okay.
So we started out with what IAC people call imperative infrastructure as code. So we started out with like Chef and Puppet, where you wrote these scripts of how to change a machine. Right. And that's very much how we write software today. It's very structured. It's very sequential. We have all this control flow stuff. And instead, now infrastructure as code is very declarative.
Yep.
You say, I want these resources. This is how they should be configured. Go make it happen.
Yep.
Figure out what changes need to happen. So we've got Confirmation in Terraform today and Kubernetes manifests, right? And I see us now having this very declarative format, whereas vibe coding is kind of imperative. It is. Make this change, make this change. No, I don't like that. Make that change. But now with the specification, we have this declarative format where you can say, this is what I want, go figure it out, right? Yeah. And as I change that declaration of intent, then go figure out what changes need to be made to the code base now. So that works for both that like greenfield application of go build me the Amazon clone, and it works for your existing application where you want to change something, change the UX, change the underlying architecture, whatever, because you're just adding on to the intent.
And I had this discussion with Mark on one of the videos. I'm going to drop a link to YouTube. There's a video with Mark and myself talking about it, but we talked about like our LLMs now, is it a compiler? Are we compiling natural language into actual code? Yeah. But I do love your example of it being like a declarative language where you declare what you want it to do, although with a little bit of a caveat, it's non-deterministic. Sometimes,
yes, exactly.
You know, we can talk about that all day long. But it is a really good approach because you have this overall. You don't need to catch up with the LLM when you vibe coding. You're kind of constantly catching up with it and trying to kind of, oh, don't do that. Oh, roll back. Oh, that. Oh, stop coding. So it's one of those. Chat, I see your questions. Don't worry, we're seeing them. I want to just kind of try to figure out what kind of catch up a little bit here. Questions people are asking: how can they get started with Kiro? There's currently a waitlist on Kiro, so go ahead, go to Kiro.dev and join the waitlist. If there's still room on the hackathon, you should also consider joining the hackathon. But we're trying to get access to as much people as we can, as fast as we can. Please bear with us. Join the Discord, discord.gg/Kiro.dev as well. You can go and ask questions and chat with us there. I know people are asking about the pricing stuff. I fully get you. We're currently working on that one. We're going to get you a little bit more update tomorrow, so please bear with me. I don't want to start talking about stuff because I want to make sure I give you the correct answer here. Let's see. A couple more questions. How do you refactor 1 million line code base with Kiro? Not easy.
Carefully.
Well, that was actually a question by somebody. How do you can you spec-driven refactor a huge code base? Like, would you even attempt to do that, or would you more approach it somehow differently? How would you do that? Is there think big?
Yeah. So for any normal task that you want to do, any project that you want to do in a spec, refactoring or not, one of the things that we found is really key to the spec-driven process is breaking it down into smaller tasks.
Yes.
Right. So in the spec flow, you have create the specification, create the technical design, and then it creates tasks. And that's been really key for making sure of two things. One is, tasks that are small enough that the model can do them successfully, pretty reliably, but also giving you an ability to steer it in between. So like I said before, it may not exactly match your intent, but you may not know that until the code's been written, right?
Correct.
So you have the ability to kind of run it task by task. You can do it all in one go, but I actually prefer to do it task by task because then I can review each step. I can roll back. I can say, wait, let's change the next task. This isn't actually what I want. And so, you can imagine as you go bigger and bigger, potentially breaking it up into multiple specs, multiple kind of steps of specs. And because the typical task list for a spec is going to be like 10 to 15 steps. Probably a 1 million line code base is going to be more than that, I could imagine. I think the other thing that is interesting about AI assisted development today is that it almost requires us to actually have good software engineering best practices.
Absolutely. 100%. Oh my God, I keep saying that.
It requires us to have tests that the model can actually run and determine if it's written something that works. It requires documented code. So Curo can actually help you to document your code. It requires you to have pretty well commented code. So if you're starting with a new code base, almost the first spec maybe to do is like, write tests,
Yeah.
write comments,
Yeah.
all of those things to get it into a really good place.
Even if it means just like creating a little summary of your code base, steering docs, potentially can be incredibly helpful here. My approach to $1 million, million line code base would be approach it like you would do any big monolith and try to break it up into services, right? Like one of the things I would tell a friend, like he has this element of an application in this million line code base. You know what? Remove that element, spin up a new service, and build it like that.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot more control.
Yeah.
A lot more. It's even going to be cheaper to work with because you deal with a lot of less context instead of having to change this whole big thing. So, okay. Scrolling down through the questions. Why does Kiro like using superlatives in object names? If I say improve the class with this feature, sometimes it makes a new word super class with feature X. Okay, I didn't know
That's
that.
really interesting. I've never seen that.
There you go. That's
but put it in your steering docs that you don't like that.
Yes, that's also, again, steering docs are your friend. Do not sleep on steering docs. I don't like Kiro making new files when it should just edit the existing file to make it optimized. Again, steering docs can help you with this case. I don't know what your project's type is, but like maybe it requires a completely brand new file for this specific change. I don't know. It usually should be able to edit files in place. That should not be happening unless it's something specific to your project. So, okay, I'm going to scroll down. And but Pete, do keep those questions coming. I see Ahmed in the chat. Hey, Dark and Claire. Hey, fellow friends. So somebody says, can I do spec-driven development with Amazon Q Developer? Technically, you could. You just have to generate a bunch of specs and orchestrate it a little bit, but it's not the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Okay, moving on. Can we see some spec-driven development?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up your screen, and we're going to show me. What are you going to show me? What are you going to show us?
Okay, so I maintain a few open source projects that are published to NPM.
Okay.
So a little while ago, I wrote a little tool to give me kind of stats about my projects, like which ones are popular, which ones are being downloaded a lot. And, you know, as is typical for me, I wrote a command line tool where I can just put all of my packages. These are not clearly maintained by me, but but are very popular.
You're the owner of Express?
So just a really simple Python application, and it gives me this beautiful emoji-full summary of, you know, how are things going, which one is the most popular, et cetera. One of the things that I have been asked to do is to provide an actual report, because there are a few teams at Amazon that also maintain NPM packages, and they also want a really nice kind of weekly report, but wanted something that, you know, like a product manager could consume. So I think what we're going to do today is go through a project to actually have this generate proper reports instead of just an output to the command line.
See, like I was doing the exact same. Last week, somebody asked me how many downloads of strands were there. And on PyPI, it shows you the last month, not the whole total. However, there's an API. So I have to go make a curl call.
Okay, so here's the thing. I also have a exact same project for PyPy packages that pulls from pypystats.org. This morning, I was going to use that one. I was going to use that one. This morning, I realized pypystats.org has been down for a week.
No.
So, please, maintainer of PyPyStats, please help.
Please help.
But as it turns out, I haven't had time to do this. I'm sure I'll use Curo to do this. You can directly go and query a BigQuery table that PyPy publishes, which is what PyPyStats pulls from. And so somebody was telling me, oh, I successfully did it this morning. So that's my next step. Is to convert it to BigQuery, but I didn't have time to do that today.
Chat, somebody make a PyStats version 2 for us, please. You have Kiro to do it. Okay, like this. Okay, excellent. I know the exact use of this, and I see a lot of comments about your choice of a light theme. Yes, Claire is that person. If you want a great theme for your code editor, check out Hot Dog Stand. Don't. But okay, so
let's see, this terminal. I am not a dark mode person.
Yes.
But this terminal, what is this? This is it's called GitHub Lite. If you just search on GitHub, I think I pulled it off of GitHub project somewhere.
Okay.
But I just love the colors. I do.
Love it.
Okay. So, and then I'm also using light mode, as you can see here.
I see that.
I'm a light person.
I'm a dark person.
Of course. That makes sense.
Okay, so let's see. What feature are we adding? You said proper reporting.
Proper reporting.
Okay.
Something that the poor product managers out there
can
consume.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm just opened this in Curo. One of the first things that I'm going to do actually is generate steering docs, because I have done literally zero to document this repository. My README is very sad. So let's go over. I'm going to go over here and generate steering docs. So what this does is basically, instead of just having, looking at my README, it's going to look at my README, but it's also going to look at some of the main files.
Yep.
This is also not a very well documented.
But you do have a steering doc, I see.
No, well, this is what I'm generating right now.
You're generating.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So this is not. This is a little bit. Actually, this is not bad. I think I created this with Curo to begin with, actually.
Okay.
So it's not bad. So it's a little bit It's well documented.
Okay, I see good Python documentation here, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was not written by me. I have to give credit to the the AI.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's generating 3 steering docs here. One is kind of the product overview, which I like, because it just describes, instead of getting into just the technical details, it just says, here's what this thing actually does.
Yep.
Because often when I jump into a code base, it's like, if it's not documented, I can then have to go read all the code and figure this out.
Right, exactly. Okay.
So then it's looking at the structure. So it's telling me, here's the code organization. This is a really simple project, but telling me what the structure is, that it's Python, and then what the technology is. So you can see my main dependencies here for putting this all together.
And this is very important, specifically when you're using specific libraries or libraries for whatever you're using, because there may be different request library for Python, and if you're just kind of like trying to go and add a new feature, it may just decide, you know what, I'm going to use this other thing.
Yeah, totally.
But when you tell it in the tech stack, this is what you should be using.
Yeah, and it's so nice to give me all of these examples too, because I need all of these, especially remembering to activate the control environment is actually really helpful for me as a person.
One of the steering docs I like to add, and there's been actually a lot of them shared on Discord, so I left the link to the Discord if you want to go join. But one of the things I like to add in my steering docs is a testing.md. That means not testing in a sense, but like, how do you actually run my application?
Yeah.
How do you do a thing with it? And then basically, like if it runs some code, it's gonna be able to run this, like, I don't know, cargo test or whatnot. So it knows exactly what it should run to determine is it good or not. So that's the thing. You're not limited only to these three agent steering docs. You can add as much as you want.
Yeah. So. But I will say, sometimes we find people adding like thousands and thousands of lines. And not realizing that that's actually literally slowing you down. That's adding more context. And so your latency is going to be higher. So there's a good balance somewhere between, you don't have to put in your entire design document in these things. But some hints are really helpful.
Yeah. And there's a video on a new term, context engineering, coming soon on the Kiro.dev YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe. Okay, so steering docs, great. Is it completed? It's done.
All done.
So how do we go ahead and do a spec now?
So let's go do a new spec here, and I'm going to say I want to produce a report for my product manager.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. So as we were talking about before, that's a pretty ambiguous intent. And so, Curo is going to do its best to kind of figure out what could I mean by that.
Yep.
And so it's creating requirements. So there's going to be this little hidden folder, .Curo, and it's bringing up this right here. And so you can see the specs, and I just want to put show here kind of what this structure is because I really like it. It's going to assign kind of a name to this project. You can almost think about specs as being a bit project specific, that once you're done, you may or may not need them anymore. They're good documentation for what changes have been made. But this is my product manager report project specs. So I'm going to try to make this as small as possible over here. There we go.
There we go.
So 3 steps: requirements, design, and task list. And just like I was saying, it's so important to steer in between these because if you go right through them and just try to generate the code, you're going to end up with something probably pretty different from what you wanted. So let's first take a look at, what did it assume I meant by I want to create a report for product managers.
I love that it uses user stories. Like, again, this is from the software development background. Like, if you don't know what a user story is, it's a critical element of making your application do what you actually want it to do. So get used to that language here.
And it used to be really boring to have to write them by hand, right? We had to use these kind of ERS format: when, then, shall, and you would fight with each other about should it be shall or should. But as it turns out, this is really helpful language for you to kind of understand what's going to happen after I push this. And then it's also, the acceptance criteria is really useful because it can actually generate tests from that. So that used to be like this big hole kind of gap when you went from, requirements to writing the code to actually testing it, is looking back at the requirements. Did you actually implement what the acceptance criteria was? So that's really helpful for Kiro to get it right. So let's take a look. So product manager, I want to generate executive level reports. It's going to create a new flag. I like it. I like it. Has an executive summary section, market share analysis, because what this does is provide what percentage of the overall packages this is. So I can see what's the most popular among my packages.
Gotcha.
So that's good. And then let's see, top performers, that's all good. And then let's see, it's going to be formatted, time-stamped, very exciting, top-end packages. One of the things that I don't see here is what is the format of the report itself. Let's just search if it did a markdown format. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. I mean, unless the product manager is using Obsidian.
Sure,
right?
maybe, yeah.
How are they going to see it? So instead of markdown, this is where, you have this opportunity to modify it. And you don't even have to modify it yourself. Again, I don't love writing user stories. Produce a, let's say, PDF report.
Sure.
So then it's going to go and look through this entire page and edit it anywhere that it needs to. So we can see already it updated that file with from Markdown to PDF. So it's just looking through anything else in the file where it says Markdown.
See, this was my biggest kind of a thing with requirements initially. Is like I didn't know, should I edit it manually or just tell Kiro to do it, right? You can edit it manually, but you have to do a whole, I don't know if you just save it and it applies it automatically. I know there's this whole thing where it doesn't really take it into context unless you tell it to. I don't know if that's still the case, but it's easier always to just tell Kiro, just change this to that, and that's gonna be the simplest option. A couple of questions in the chat about more models and Opus specifically. We hear you, and there's been a lot of discussion on that on GitHub. So the team is working on adding more models, providers, things into Kiro. Currently, it's only Sonnet 3.7 and Sonnet 4. But for any more models you wish to be added to this, go please add a +1 or create a GitHub issue. We would love to be able to track that. But yes, we are fully aware of that. Opus is not there yet. I have no more information than that. That's all I can say. Okay, awesome. So we have, it made the changes, PDF format. Okay, interesting. Okay,
let's move
to the design phase.
Design phase.
Nice. And a couple of questions here. Can I leave some criticism? Yes, yes. A button to toggle on and off MCPs would be great. You can, although you can disable or enable MCP servers by using the enabled flag on the MCP.json, it's not a button. I get it. Thank you. Okay, So it's go ahead and creating. Now, what's a design doc in this case?
So this is going to be what's the technical design of this? We kind of, if you think about the requirements as kind of that product requirements phase that we used to reliably go through in software engineering, this is going to be the design doc phase that you would normally go through. And so it is almost, when I first started talking about specification, people are saying like, are we going back to waterfall? Because that was not a great phase of my life, right? And a little bit because the outputs of these are so useful for getting high quality output in the actual code, but it just took so long to write these and review these that this fast iteration is making these actually feasible to use in real life. Okay, so design doc, technical design. So I've got high level architecture. This could end up being, if you're doing something a little bit more complex, like a multi microservices architecture, you would start to see that here. This can sometimes include things like mermaid diagrams. You can actually see the different pieces, but this is a pretty simple little utility. So, but it's going to, it's chosen a library. So that would be like a really critical choice here, because what am I going to use for PDF generation?
Yeah, because you haven't used it in the past, so it doesn't really know. So just suggesting which one you're going to use.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so at this point, if I happen to have, an opinion here, I don't have an opinion personally on Python PDF generation, but if I had an opinion, this is where I could start to, again, iterate on that design document, just like I did with the requirements. It's even going to give me a little bit of kind of pseudocode. It's just kind of stubbing out each of the pieces here, and then some data analysis functions. So it's really useful just before it goes right into the code. And now I'm reviewing hundreds of lines of code, giving me that kind of structure, and then what the CLI is going to look like. And
this is very useful because, again, once it starts actually generating code, it's kind of hard to roll back. You have to stop. Don't do that. You made a lot of changes. Here, at least see, okay, I agree with this. I think this is an approach. I do like your class breakdown. Keep it that way. Okay, good. Love it.
I also I think that reviewing just a massive amount of code at one time is really difficult if you have no context about why it made those changes. And that's where I find vibe coding really challenging, because I haven't seen all of the kind of thinking that went into it that we're seeing here, right? And so being able to look through this and have some familiarity with where we're going makes it a lot easier for me, at least, to actually review the code when it's done. Okay, so let's move to implementation. This all looks good. So the implementation is the task list that I was talking about earlier, where it's going to create smaller bits of tasks, code changes that it's going to go work on. And in each one, it can validate its work. So it might run the tests or something like that. But I can also review what it's doing and kind of steer it along the way and make changes before moving on to the next one. So let's take a look at that.
And somebody in chat, I think it was on it, saying that they cannot. The only thing they don't like about Kiro is having to manually click each task. You don't have to. You have to. You can tell Kiro, run all my tasks. And more often than not, it will run all the tasks. But don't do that. I think that's also a thing. Like, try to remain in control. Just tell it to do 3 tasks or 2 tasks or 1 task, whatever, and then just review what happened.
Okay, so we're seeing here the implementation plan. This one is, let's see, 11. So I was saying that they tend to be kind of 10 to 15. So set up, they can be really small, like setting up the dependencies, and then it can just verify that those can be installed. Implementing individual functions, it's going to create unit tests, so it can actually verify that those tests work. And then down. One thing that I am going to do, let's see at the...
Is it going to do a lot of testing? Because
it's going to do a lot of testing. So I think the way to think about the task list is this is kind of, if you were like going right to production with this gold standard for software engineering best practices, it's going to give you all of that.
The tests,
It's writing integration tests. It's going to test different options, comprehensive test suite, all of this stuff. Integration tests. It's going to update the documentation, create a really nice CLI help task.
Yep.
I'm going to actually tell it to not do integration tests.
Right.
This is not a project that I'm going to production with per se. Okay, so I'm going to say don't bother with integ tests and documentation, let's say.
Sure, yeah. As any good software developer does, right?
That's right.
We don't bother with integration tests nor the documentation. But no, there was a question a comment from somebody in the chat. I scrolled by, but they mentioned that like Curo loves to over-exaggerate with the tests at times, and it can be sometimes challenging. I've seen this happen in the past where it tries to mock everything. And like you spend a lot of your code base is actually a lot of mocked content, and so you can tell it to not. Even though that's not probably the best practice, you should test-driven development, right? Tests and then code. But since we're in this different paradigm, like you can do, you need to have tests because you want to make sure that your LLM does code correctly, or you can use a better programming language. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be as extensive. At least when you're building something like this initially, you can add on to it.
Yeah, I will say AI loves to do a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I do find a lot, especially for pet projects, I'll come in here and say, I just don't really need that, right? Yeah. And so let's see if there's anything else. I mean, this seems fine.
Yeah, I mean, it seems fine. There's a bunch of unit testing here as
unit
well.
Testing,
is there error validation?
Error handling is here. That's good. So if I put in the wrong thing or the PDF can't be generated. Okay, let's try one. So as you were saying, I can either just do an individual task. I could do the whole thing. I just want to show what this looks like. I just love this UI so much. I think it's so neat that you can come in and it looks like regular Markdown, right? As an engineer, this feels very familiar. But it's kind of highlighted with all of these individual start tasks. So for some of these more complex tasks, you'll see like implementing these data analysis functions. You'll see these subtasks. Yep. You can start the whole thing and it'll go through it, or you can do individual ones and steer it individually. It's kind of up to you.
Yeah, because in the past, I've had this example where like I would have sometimes the tasks weren't breaking up into subtasks, like in this case, like you have 2 and 2.1, 2.2. Like sometimes it would just be one, and then you just have to go to the whole thing. But it's still fine.
And that's another thing that you can give it feedback on, right? Is break that down a little bit more.
Yep. And when did we, as engineers, decided that LaTeX is no longer a thing? Right? Why did Markdown win? I don't know. That's
Come on.
What's the other one? There's Graph. There's another weird one. Looks like LaTeX.
Yeah.
Shout out to LaTeX and the friends. But yes, Markdown. And the beauty about this is all of these files, the design doc, the requirements, the task list, the freaking steering docs are all Markdown files inside of your repo. Yeah. You can ship them with it. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's really
you
up
can
to you.
version control them.
Exactly.
Review them. Yeah.
So that is really, really good. I see people recognize LaTeX. Yep, I know. I guess people who are in college recognize LaTeX because you have to write math formulas with LaTeX. But I think I know why Markdown that one. Yeah, I know. But okay, so now it goes ahead and just starts executing on this one. And now, in this case, like task 1, set up a PDF generation dependencies in project structure. So I assume this is going to just go ahead and do a bunch of imports. And we can see, is it happening?
I don't think it's happening. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm like, there should be a thing.
It should start.
Execution queued. Interesting. I've never
seen this before.
Yeah. Execution queued.
I will say I just downloaded the latest nightly build last night.
Oh, okay.
That was a mistake.
Okay. So sneak peek here at the nightly build. Can you, if you stop it, can you stop it?
Let's see. Current tasks.
Generate spec.
Remove from queue.
It's not queue, it's Kiro.
Oh, and now it's going.
Okay, there you go.
No. I see what you did.
Yeah, I know.
I see what you did there. Now it's going. Here we
go. It's going. Okay. Interesting. Oh, so, okay. I'm actually going to open up my Kiro to see. Do I have this feature? Maybe this is something something new that I don't even have yet. So that's the thing. When you work with the Kiro devs, you usually get like one of those updates that nobody else does. I mean, I'm not 0142, but you probably the newer version. Okay, so it is executing now, and it's waiting on your input right now. So, okay, so it's asking you to run a command. So it's going to be running the command here. Okay, you're going to allow it to be executed. Nice.
Oh, which variation? Okay, let's do the base.
Oh, interesting. Okay, auto approved. Dark Sky Full Stars execution queue is because you have an active task already open, so it adds to the new tab into the queue. Oh, okay, thank you. You can queue tasks since day one. There you go. I haven't understood that. Somebody mentioned this a few times. Any voice support on the cards? I don't get. Maybe I'm too old, but like coding with voice seems, I don't know, not imprecise. Because
I would love input on the Discord on this, because I hear some people love it because they can explain things out loud faster than they can type, which makes sense. But also, a lot of us work in open plan offices.
Sure.
And we're all trying to be very quiet, right, for everybody else around us. And so imagine all of these
just people, developers yelling at their computers.
Yeah, exactly.
Add unit test.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Okay, so it had a thing. It seems the virtual environment. Okay, virtual env is a thing.
So obviously it's figuring out all of these things, right?
Yep, and it's running these commands, and that's the whole shell integration is kind of a critical element of this. It's able to run these commands within your shell. It's running UV Python. And it seems to be correctly run. Perfect. Awesome. Perfect PDF generation is working. Nice. Okay, look at that. Add unit tests, add readme and LaTeX. No, I mean, so the question about voice thing is like I've done in the past where I would open like Claude and I would just kind of spill my brains through it. Like here's an idea I have and I want to build on it. Please keep these notes. Yeah. But I speak like a box of spilled jigsaw puzzles. Everything comes out like, just weird. Like it's it wouldn't be structured coding if I would talk to Kiro with my voice. Yeah. So
got it.
Task one is done. Okay.
And it verified that it can still, you can see in here, it verified it can still run through the terminal. That terminal integration is really nice. And then it kind of gives you this summary of everything it did. Let's go back to the task list. You can see this is now done. So you can actually see the changes that it did. You can go and view this execution over here. I think it's so neat that it gives you exactly the changes that it made for that task. Keeps track of everything. This is really simple what it did here. It was just importing all of the right things and making sure that it can actually verify, or that it can actually generate PDFs. But now it automatically kind of checked that box, and we can move to the rest. What do you think? Should we let it go?
Let it go. Let's let it go. Kick off start task 2, and let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, people have been commenting. I had the same issue as task queued, and nothing happened quite long. What did you guys do to get it going? There was a little trash can button next to the element and queue, and the element was something spec thing. I don't know. Yeah. And we deleted that, and it kicked it off. So could have been a stuck task. And I think somebody mentioned it in the chat. That's maybe something that's, are you guys aware of summary sent to the new tab? It won't continue from the summary. You have to tell it to continue. Oh, maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Could be a stuck task in the queue, but if you're confident the task has been done, you can just delete it, and it should go forward. Okay, so now it's implementing the market analysis utility specified in task 2.1. So now you told it to run the whole task number 2, which means it goes to 2.1 and 2.2 in this case. Yep. Interesting. And what's great about it is, like, if you look at this task, it's a simple set of instructions, right? Well, I spoke to somebody and they told me this is too precise. Like, you wouldn't tell this to a human. Right. Sure. But for an AI, you have to be a little bit more precise, right? Yeah. Brain fart. Yes, you can change this. You can tell it. You can add to it. You can modify it. It has its own set of requirements that it knows it can't do these specific things unless some other things are done. So I think it's a great step-down breakdown. But it also has the context to the rest of your application. Has the application itself, has the sharing docs. It's not just like a bullet point list of like things you should do. So,
Yeah.
so it's a lot more than you just see here on paper. What? And a question here from Shiv Vonley. What does it mean requirements for 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 in this case? So line 13. So in this case, like that's also been kind of a confusion for me. Like when it comes to these requirements thing.
Oh,
So
it's hallucinating.
yeah, there's a lot.
the-
Yeah. See, there's like none of those like requirements. Like
Yeah.
2.4 doesn't exist.
That's interesting.
And 2.5 doesn't exist. So I've seen that. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it prevents it anything. It's a little bit more structure for things. It may like stop or not do a thing, but yeah, it's a non-deterministic nature of LLMs. Yeah. But a lot of good comments here from people about the voice to code. Sometimes they feel like they could express themselves more, as I agree.
Yeah.
And you can also refine it with typing, but
yeah, especially the stream of consciousness. I mean,
Yes.
one of the great things about AI today is that it can help clean up your stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so, for example, like I gave a pretty not well formatted requirement,
Sure.
right, of to do this for my product manager, and then it turned it into much better.
Of course,
language.
yeah. And when Kiro launched, I was initially like, oh, I'm going to write my own design docs.
Right.
I quit super fast
No
because I will never do it as good as this thing will look. And I modify it, tweak it, make the changes, let it create a boilerplate for me, and then we can do that.
Yeah.
Can we get Kiro to speak with Darko's voice? That will cost you extra. I will license out my voice. No, but okay, so it's doing all of these tasks, and now you can hit the follow button here. So the little purple button, follow, and when you hit on that, it's going to actually go ahead and show you what code is actually being changed. It has a dedicated tab with all of the files, or actually all of the lines in a file that are being modified in this case. You see test market analysis, PY, there's a bunch of stuff being added here, a bunch of stuff being removed. So if you want kind of this a little bit more down to earth, closer to the actual changes happening, you can just kind of see it happening in real time. So, which I do love a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, Claire, you've been writing software for a long time, and you've been working for AWS, like we talked about it, the next 10 years, right? And do you see this approach of like spec-driven development changing the way big teams work? Because that's got individual devs, I get it, right? But like, how do big teams approach things with spec-driven development?
Yeah, I think the next level of spec-driven development is going to look like collaboration on the specs, right? Because this is when it's in your IDE, it's a very individual experience, right? Yes. I'm doing this because I have this project within a larger code base, and I kind of own that spec, own the design, own the task lists, and then own getting that code generated. But specs in general, especially requirements and then design, are going to be ripe for collaboration, right? Ripe for collaboration on the product requirements, making sure that they make sense to the team and to your, sort of larger set of functions, like even sharing them with customers maybe, and then reviewing the design doc. I mean, we've been reviewing design docs for decades now, right? And looking at that, and I think that helps with education as well. So one of the concerns I always hear is, how are people starting out in software engineering going to learn? Because a lot of us have learned by writing docs, writing code. And I think that, but also I've learned a lot from reviews of those things, right? Yes. I learned so much from code review. I learned so much from reviewing of design docs. Yep. And so that collaboration is also a really great opportunity for learning in that team. So this one's completed.
Can you go to your design doc? It feels like understands what requirements are, or actually maybe the requirements doc. Does it have some sort of no? Go to the requirements doc. Does it have 2.1, 2.2, 2.3?
The task list?
No, you can literally go to the requirements thing. It's just in the bottom. That one. Yes. Thank you. So I'm wondering.
Oh, acceptance criteria.
So actually, we are not. It's not hallucinating. Chat was correct. So when it says 2.5, it literally means 2, and then acceptance. Yeah, okay.
The acceptance criteria.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. You are correct. Beautiful. Okay.
No
so
hallucinations.
no hallucinations.
Here. No
Okay.
hallucinations.
So
here.
you're correct. Actually, it pulled those things because for me it looked like a requirement within the task thing. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
the requirements was in the requirements doc.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
That makes sense now.
Yeah. It's hallucinating. There's no 2.12. There is. If you go to requirements.md, you will see
requirement
2, and then
sub-bullet 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5.
we thought it was hallucinating because we were looking at the actual task list, and we were I thought it was requirements in the task list, which made no sense.
So here it's talking about requirements in the requirements.md.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Mystery solved. Okay, so I've seen it went it burned through 2 of your tasks here without any problems. Well, it encountered problems, but it fixed them because it was able to run stuff. So
it was able to run unit tests even.
Yeah, and it seems to be successful. Wonderful. Somebody mentioned in chat here, and I do agree with that. One of the steering docs I like to add is I love to tell Kiro to document stuff. So like create a build.md file where you will outline the steps of things you have done. Because while the design docs, while the task lists may describe intent, it may not describe actually what happened. So for example, it may run into an issue where your virtual env didn't exist. So we'll say, by the way, I ran into this issue. I've installed virtual env or I've used UV. So it's just kind of a great way for me to follow up. And as you said, reading code and reading these design docs helps you really learn. I'm of very strong opinion that developers these days should read more code. Specifically because a lot of code is being generated, you should be able to read and learn from that. So I like that. Is there a way for Kiro to use? Is there a way to ask Kiro to use a GitHub repo instead of coding on a local environment and use GitHub workflows using branch for each? I mean, use it. You can tell it in steering docs, right? You can tell it just to make sure that every change it makes, it does like a git commit. It can do that, no problem. That's not a problem as well. You can also technically, you can use an agentic hook for that, but that's probably not the best use of an agentic hook. But the steering doc will help you do it. Like any major change, for example, in this case, every time a new task has been completed, git commit. So
that's one of the things that I'm really excited about. A separate application that can be so personalized. Like that's really where I'm so excited about AI IDEs, because in the past, when we wanted to personalize our environment, right, you had to write a plugin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so much work. And now it's like, we can have these almost old school macros, but now they're natural language.
Exactly.
So you can personalize behavior with the steering docs. You can write these agentic hooks. And I mean, developers love to personalize. All of us use different terminal.
Hey, I mean, you should check out.
My bash RC is.
You should check out my dot files. I spend way more time than I'm willing to admit configuring my Vim.
And we just haven't had that for IDEs yet.
I like it. And also we talked about in the initial stream with Nathan about why is Kiro a fork of code open source instead of just a plugin. There's a whole lot of features that plugins don't actually support, like notifications. Who knew? So to get all of these features, it basically had to be a fork of Code OSS. So I like it, and I love this whole thing. And the more I've been using coding assistants and these LLM tools, is that I spend a lot more time preparing them for what they need to do, and then so I will create this very complex chain doc, or I will tell it, give it specific instructions to what I want it to do, and then I just kind of let it go, and it does the thing. So do not sleep on preparing your LLMs to do a lot more stuff. So steering docs are your best friend. Would you consider using Kiro to reverse generate the spec from doc from an existing code? I mean, it's not built in. Like you can't click generate spec. You could ask it to do it. It wouldn't be a problem, but I wonder how it would generate a task list, because it comes to it's kind of like a cooking show, right? If I give you a cake, how do you figure out which steps do you need to take to get that cake? You could figure out the ingredients, but maybe not the steps. I don't know.
Well, I think that you can ask it to generate the spec, and then you can ask it, okay, now create a new project right
with the same thing.
against
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It may
Um,
not follow the exact same set of tasks you personally done or whoever
yeah,
built that,
yeah.
but it will be close enough to what the outcome is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, what's interesting about specs, the way that they were developed is, so the Curo team uses Kiro to build Kiro. And so we actually went through quite a few iterations of what specs means. Because they try to basically do exactly that, is generate a spec of the existing code and then try to edit it in this massive file. And that didn't work super well, and it just didn't feel right as a developer. And we finally arrived at this kind of project-based approach where it kind of matches how you go about making changes to your application in general. So yeah, it's been through a lot.
Yeah, it is. I remember still the young years of Kiro, early last year. Completely different.
Yes.
Oh my God, you
Yes.
wouldn't recognize Kiro.
Yeah.
It was still called Kiro. I don't think we had a ghost back then, even yet. But
That's right.
there was no ghost,
Yeah.
but it kind of had the same spirit, pun intended. But it was vastly different than what it is today. A spec is a sprint. Somebody's saying. I mean, is it a sprint? Would this be considered like a sprint, a whole spec? Maybe. I don't know.
It's sprinting pretty fast.
Yes,
if it is.
yeah. There's a comment here from, I wanted to actually bring this up before we slowly wrap up, from Benjamin. I feel like we're going back to waterfall, but with a good reason. We are able to quickly generate all the specifications, requirements, user stories, so why not have them all up front? The benefit of Agile was you didn't need to wait for everything to be fully thought up through before starting, so you can see the product and iterate as it needed. But if you can spec everything out even quicker than before, why not have everything so long as you have an open mind to adapt? Exactly. I fully agree with this. So
I think our entire software development process has been based on the fact that code has kind of comes out in a trickle. And it's gated on humans. It's gated on hiring humans. And so waterfall, it used to take a long time to write Fortran and put them into the punch card machine. And so it was okay that it took a long time to write these docs and get alignment and all of that. And then it became a lot easier to write code when we got, object-oriented languages, Java, Python. And so we wanted to be more agile. And now that we have AI, it's almost instantaneous to have code. And so our software development process is completely changing. It's really exciting.
It is absolutely. And it's you should build more code. You have no reason not to, right? You have things like Kiro, you have these tools that can help you build stuff. Go ahead and build. Even if you're not typing the code yourself in, you are still going to be able to learn a lot. But do not skip on the learning part. Look at what it created, look at the requirement doc, look at the design doc, challenge it on the designs, and then let it build. It's gonna help you so much. Anything I need now, I just build a thing. I don't.
Oh my God, I know. All these little projects where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a utility to do that.
Bam, right?
Done.
Exactly. So recently I built a thing. I needed to go ahead and videos like this. I needed to get a transcription out. Now you can go and upload it to Amazon Transcribe or some other third-party service, but I want command line. And I built a command line tool that says point it to a video. 45 seconds later, I have a transcript. Wonderful. Please go check out Kiro. Kiro.dev, currently waitlist. Join the waitlist. We're hoping to get the people on it soon. Please do go check it out. Discord.gg/Kiro.dev for the Discord. And also make sure to smash, follow, subscribe, whatever you do on these channels. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. Amazing. You're not being ignored. Mo7 Minecraft, is Kiro getting cheaper? We're working out stuff around the pricing, so please stay tuned. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. I wish I could. We're working out the pricing stuff. Stay tuned for more information on pricing. We want to make sure that it's super clear for you what you're getting for the cost. Please bear with us. Amazing. I don't know. Shake. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I don't know about pricing. I wish I knew. I wish I knew more. So I wish I could tell you a lot. More. The same goes for Dark Sky of Full Stars. I know there's been a lot of stuff around pricing. That's why I don't want to say stuff without actually knowing stuff. Otherwise, you're going to say, well, Darko told me Kiro is going to cost you 4 strawberries and a blueberry. I don't know. Please bear with me. We read all the Reddits. We read all the Discord. We know. Well, I mean, we've been plowing through this thing, kind of
Yeah.
going and building stuff. I guess we're going to let it build, and you're going to have your NPM reports sometime soon.
Yep.
But as a wrap-up, Claire, tell them, if they have not tried spec-driven development, what's the one thing they need to take care of first before they get into it? Or would you give them some advice?
Some advice. I would start to think about, how do you come up with new ideas? How do you brainstorm? I think that has been the number one thing that AI has helped me with, is I have a new idea, I can brainstorm with AI, and then it becomes real really quickly after that. And so the limit is really the number of ideas that you have, honestly, today.
I love it. There you go. Beautiful. Join the Discord. Please feel free to reach out to me, tag me in the message, say hi if you have any questions. If you want to send me a message, please DM me as well. Chat, we'll see you not next week, 2 weeks from now, right here on all of these channels that you're watching the show on. And we're going to have some more Curo content for you. Stay tuned. There's the office hours coming in tomorrow. So if you're not on Discord, you can go check out the office hours where the actual folks building Curo are going to be there helping answer your questions. So make sure to join that as well. I need to go ahead and play. I don't even have an outro here. I don't know. I'm going to play a thing for you for 10 seconds when I click the go offline button. So chat, it's been great. Bye.